yesterday. After it rained 3 inches, it actually ended up raining about another inch. So I ended up getting about 4 inches of rain yesterday, and the Weather Channel is saying I got another about an inch and a half of rain, about another inch of rain coming in, yeah, on Monday. So yep, there's just been a lot of rain and it's very wet outside. The grass is definitely growing, and this morning I was taking a look at everything, and I did change up the business plan. Okay, I did change up the business plan, and I'll talk about that right now, why I did it and what I did. So I've decided that what I'm going to do for the next 4 months, right? For the next 4 or 5 months, I'm doing what I'm calling building the foundation. Okay, I'm doing what I'm calling building the foundation, and the reason that I'm building the foundation is so that I can leverage early next year. I am looking to leverage early next year, not so that I can. I can do whatever the heck I feel like, right? I mean, if free country, right? I can do whatever the heck I feel like. Okay, I'm looking to leverage myself early next year, and so what I'm doing right now is doing something called what do I building the foundation. Okay, I'm putting down the foundation, and so the what I changed up in the business plan is and what I'm gonna do is right now I've decided that when I sell two, I'll buy three. Okay, so for every two that I sell, I'll buy three. I believe that I will be selling about 10 here, over the next 3 weeks or so, over the next 3 4 weeks. If my market target weight is 800 pounds, I can actually sell about 15 animals, simply because I have about 4 or 5 animals that are going to be over 850 pounds, about 900 pounds. I'll have a set of animals at 800 pounds, and I will have another set of animals at about 700 pounds. And so, if I'm looking to average all 15 animals out at 800 pounds, I can actually sell 15 animals over the next about 4 weeks. I'll be looking to sell about 15 animals, and if I sell for every 10 that I sell, I will buy 15. And the reason that I'm doing that, and the reason that I changed up my business, the reason that I changed up my business plan is because here in about 4 to 5 months, I am looking to leverage myself. And when I leverage myself, I will be looking to use a different leverage system. I will be leveraging against my cash flow. Okay, I will be leveraging against my cash flow. I'll stop leveraging against the equitable evaluation of my cattle herd. I'll stop leveraging against I'll stop leveraging against the equity of my cattle herd. Okay, I will start leveraging against my cash flow instead here in about 4 to 5 months. And so what the big idea is that, well, I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, well, if I sell 10 and I buy 15, if I sell 10 and I buy 15, that'll mean I have about okay, so if I sell 10 and I buy 15, that means I'm growing my business by about 50% on a 7 month basis. And here in about 4 months, I'm not even going to be, I'm using a different leverage system, right? I will be using a different leverage system here in about 4 to 5 months. So, things are I'm going to change things up here in about 4 or 5 months. And but over the next 4 to 5 months, I figured, well, I'm just gonna. Okay, so the big idea is that you know uh, I'm going to think about the money. Okay, so what's ultimately going to happen is that I will, I'll be selling about 15 animals over the next month or so. Okay, right now it's about the last week of November, and so by the last week of December, I'll have sold about 15 animals. Okay, and I'll sell 15, and I'll buy about 21. And so the big idea, sell to the 15 and buy 22, something like that. And so the big idea is that, well, if I sell 10 and I buy 15, I still, and I do that over a long period of time, which I won't be doing, simply because I will be looking to use a different leverage system. And I actually, I was saying if I sell 10 and buy 15, but then I add leverage, it's actually going to be sell 10 and buy 25. but it's not going to be sell 10 and buy 25 because I'll be leveraging against my cash flow and not the animals anymore. And so, here in about 4 or 5 months, I'll be a whatever. Okay, I will be using a different leverage system, and I'll have plenty of equity. That's the thing, is that the whole reason that I was looking to do what I'm doing is to just put enough equity in the herd so that when I leverage, I'm not concerned about it. Okay, if I have a couple $100,000, if I have $150,000, in the cattle herd as equity, and and I'm leveraging against a third of my cash flow, then I'm not concerned about it, because if I leverage against a third of my cash flow, let's say I bring home $20,000 a month, and I leverage against a third of that. So that'd be, let's just say I bring home 21,000. I'd be leveraging for 7 grand, right? And for 7 grand, I can take a loan for about 1.25 million. And for 7 grand, it's like, even if I just like sat on my hands, I could with $150,000 in equity, I could pay for the debt for 2 years straight, right? I mean, I could pay I could pay the loan for over 2 years, right? So I'm not concerned about it. The whole thing is to just put enough equity away so that I have a large enough margin in terms of just money, okay? In terms of just flat out money, and I'm not, I also have my land, and I can hold my land for collateral, and take a loan against my land, et cetera, et cetera. I'm even looking to take a loan against my business. And I'll see if the banker will give me a business line of credit against my business as well. My business is an LLC, and I get legal protections for that too. So, but the whole thing is, the big idea is, if I sell 10 and I buy 15, what's ultimately going to end up happening is that about once a month, about once, okay, so every time I sell 10 and buy 15, what's going to end up happening is that I'll effectively, if I do that for a long period of time, if I sell 10 and I buy 15 over a long period of time, that'll turn into a 50% expansion. I'll be able to do that with zero debt. I won't have to use any debt to do that. I can just grow my business by 50% over the long haul. If I just keep selling 10 and buying 15, and I just maintain that ratio, the 2 to 3 ratio, every time I sell two, I buy three, and I maintain that ratio for a long period of time, over a long period of time, that'll just turn into, just continuous 50% growth, right? Sell two and buy three, right? It's very simple, right? And so, but every time I do that, every time I sell 10 and buy 15, and I buy whatever else it is that I need, maybe I need a tonnage of fertilizer and I need half a load of grain, and I do that, and I, effectively, what'll end up happening is I'll still have about 5,000, about $5,000 a month left over. Okay, so I'll sell 10, I'll buy 15. That's effectively, if I did that for a long period of time, that would be a 50% growth. That would still build my equity stake. That I will still be able to grow the amount of equity that I have. And if I grow the equity, that equity, I can grow the equity by 50% compounding. Just by reinvesting the earnings, not taking any debt. And the whole thing is, and so even after I do that, so I'll grow the business by 50%. Over the long haul, I would be growing the business by 50%. I would be buying everything that I need, and I would still have about $5,000 a month left over. Okay, I would still have about 5 grand a month left over, and I figured that I would think about the 5 grand as an insurance policy. I'll start thinking about it as insurance. And what I mean by insurance, and the benefit of me holding this money as insurance, is that I'm effectively my own insurance company. So that money, it'll just sit there, and let's say I buy 10, and I let's say I sell 10, and I bring home 15, okay, and I buy half a load of grain, and I buy a tonnage of fertilizer, and I got the animals, and let's say one or two of them die. Okay, let's say one or two of them die, then I can take about 2 grand out of that 5 grand, and I can make sure that I grow my business by 50%. I can ensure the growth of my business. Okay, so effectively, all I'm doing is just taking the risk out. I'm just whatever, because it's like me having an extra 15 animals for the next 3 months is not going to generate some substantial amount of equity. Okay, it's not going to generate some substantial amount of equity. What will generate me a large amount of equity is when I change up my leveraging system and buy myself a new property and set up a new preconditioning facility. And when I set up my preconditioning facility, I am looking to set up something pretty neat. I will be setting up something very cool. I have ideas for what I'm looking to do, and I'm gonna set up a good preconditioning facility. And when I set up a good preconditioning facility, I'll be able to bring home more calves at the same time, and I will be changing up my leverage system, and I will have a substantial amount of equity put away. I'll have a substantial amount of just money put away to where I can float the debt for several years, even if I didn't make any money at all. And my whole thing about using debt, right, is when I use debt, I don't use debt to buy ridiculous things. Okay, I don't like going to take a loan against my house so that I can go and buy myself a Lamborghini. Okay, I don't go and take a loan against my house so that I can go and buy something ridiculous. Okay, I don't take a loan against my house so that I can build the new room for my house. Okay, I don't take a loan from the bank to go on a journey somewhere. Okay, I don't go on a vacation. I don't take a loan to go on a vacation. Okay, I don't do ridiculous things. I don't take a loan to go gamble. Okay, and stuff like that. Okay, so my whole thing is now, I'll still be growing my business. If I only sold 10 and bought 15 for a long period of time, I would still be effectively growing my business by 50%. Okay, if I'm selling 10 and buying 15, you know, and that would still grow my business by 50%. I'll be able to be my own insurance company. I'll actually ensure that that happens, and then I can just and the reason that I would do that is because me buying an extra 15, 20 animals and whatever, averaging an extra 2 months of gain on the 15 animals, 20 animals is just it's not going to generate some substantial amount of equity. It's not really even a relevant sum of money. So and I've been talking about the idea of if I just continue forward, I will just end up sitting on a large amount of money, right? I will just end up sitting on a large amount of money, and so I figured, well, I'm just going to hold on to some of that money as cash. And the reason that I'm going to do that is to be my own insurance company. Uh, and the way that I thought about it, the way that I figured I would do this is that if I sell 10 and I buy 15, and let's say one or two of my animals die, I bought half a load of grain. I may have even bought a full load of grain. If I bought a full load of grain, then I wouldn't have bought fertilizer, because the only reason for me to need a full load of grain instead of a half a load of grain is I don't have any grass. Okay, if I don't have any grass, then sure I would need a full load. But just to be reasonable about it, half a load of grain and a tonnage of fertilizer, and that would effectively just keep me going for the next month. And if I did that, I would still have about 5 grand left over, maybe 5,500, something like that left over. Okay, and if I have $5,000 left over, and one or two of my animals die, then I can replace those one or two. I can buy one or two new animals, and now I take that out of the insurance money. And let's say I got $3,000 left in the insurance money, 3,000, $4,000 left in the insurance money. And like when animals die, the whole thing about me is that, like, when I have an animal that's sick, my main priority is to look out for that animal, to do everything that I can for that animal. But it's a very unfortunate thing. I mean, animals die out in the wild all the time. Sometimes the animals, thousands, tens of thousands of animals can't find water and they all just die. Sometimes, like like chronic wasting disease for deers. Sometimes there's some massive disease outbreak that spreads, and it just kills millions of animals, and it's sad to see. Okay, and it just it's when I have an animal die, I don't I'm more concerned about the animal's well-being than I am the money. The money's whatever. Okay, I already the money's whatever. I don't care about the money. Okay, the money, I have plenty of money. I don't, it's whatever. Okay, I'm more concerned about the animal's well-being. All right, it's very unfortunate when an animal dies, regardless of the money. Okay, and so if I do have an animal die, if I do have one or two animals die, I can take some money out of the 5 grand to buy one or two more animals. So I'm effectively just insuring the growth of the business. And my whole thing about the insurance policy is, after 2 months, And after 2 months, if the animals look like they're all just more or less doing okay, after 2 months, I will take the insurance money and I will go and do whatever the heck I feel like with it. I'm my own insurance company, so I'll be effectively just paying that money to myself, and I'll be holding on to that money to ensure that the 50% growth does happen over the next 4 months. I will effectively just be just guaranteeing that the 50% growth happens over the next 4 months. Okay, and I'm looking to really build the amount of equity that I have over the next 4 months, so that when I re-leverage myself, I am even looking into buying a new piece of land as well, setting up a new preconditioning facility, etc., etc. Okay, so my whole thing about it is, well, I will effectively guarantee I'm going to insure myself. I'm going to be my own insurance company, and if I do not use the insurance money, that's still my money. I can go and do whatever the heck I feel like with it. If I feel like buying more cattle with it, I'll buy more cattle with it. Okay, I mean, it's effectively just $5,000 a month sitting there. That five. So that's effectively what I'm doing with the money. What I'm doing with the money is growing my business by 50%. I am guaranteeing that I grow my business by 50%. I buy everything that I need, and I also have about $5,000 a month left over after that. So I pay for everything that I need. I pay for all of my bills. I grow my business by 50%, and then I grow my business by 50% on a 7 month basis. Okay, if I sell 10 and buy 15 over a long period of time, that will you know effectively grow the business by 50%, you know, uh, about every 7 months. And so, I'll be looking, I can effectively just guarantee that my business grows, and I can ensure that happens. I can, provide insurance to myself. And if I don't use the insurance money, I'm my own insurance company. So I can just I can just do whatever the heck I feel like with the money. If that means I go and buy more cattle, then I'll go and buy more cattle, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. So that's the big idea. And that's why I'm changing up the business plan. And the reason I'm changing up the business plan is simply because even if I take all of the insurance money and I don't provide insurance for myself, and I just grow the business, and let's say I end up with an extra 20 cattle, and those extra 20 cattle, 20 cattle, let's say I have that 20 cattle just in straight cash, over the next 4 months. Let's say that over the next 4 months I have $20,000 in cash, and I've grown my business by, whatever. I've grown my business by I've grown my business by about 50%. Okay, I've grown my business by about 50%, and and I have because here pretty soon, here in about 3 4 months, I'll actually be selling 10 animals. Well, even right now, I'll be selling about 15 animals in just the next 4 weeks. And so, here pretty soon, I'll actually be selling 10, just flat out, just selling 10. And so, and it's whatever. But long story short, if I sell 10 and I buy 15, I'll have about $5,000 left over. I can provide insurance for myself. And if I don't use the insurance money, that insurance money is still my money. Okay. And so I can effectively guarantee that I grow the equity of my business. I can effectively guarantee that I grow the I can effectively just guarantee that I grow the business, all right, by about 50%. Compounding every about 7 months, and if I don't use the insurance money, I still have the money, and I can do whatever the heck I feel like with it after about 2 months. Okay, so I'll invest the money, and I'll have the insurance money, and if I'll effectively just grow my business by 50%, and I'll still have 5 grand left over on a monthly basis, something around there. Okay, something about 5 grand left over on a monthly basis. Because here pretty soon, if I buy another load of grain, here pretty soon, maybe in a month or two, I won't have to buy anything. I won't have there will be a month here very soon where I effectively just don't have to buy anything. I can just leave the animals on the grass, and I can just feed them the half a load of grain that I already bought. So it's whatever. But it's whatever. I would reasonably anticipate that it's going to be about 5 grand left over. Okay, I'll sell 10. I'll buy 15. I'll grow the business by 50%. I'll grow the business by 50%, and I'll still have 5 grand left over. And I will effectively just guarantee that I grow the equity of the herd. I will grow I will grow the equity. I will grow the money, and I will grow the money by investing it into the herd. I will grow the herd size by 50%, and I will still have $5,000 left over, and it'll be just about on a monthly basis. It will be just about monthly. From what I'm, what I took a look at, I'll have about $5,000 a month left over, even though I'm growing my business by 50%. And then I can use that 5 grand to provide insurance for myself, and then yeah, but if I don't use the insurance money, I can go and do whatever the heck I feel like with it. I can buy more cattle with it, etc., etc. And all of this, the reason that I'm doing all of this is so that in 4 months, when I re-leverage myself, I am looking to leverage against my cash flow and not against the equity of my herd. I am looking to leverage against my cash flow, and for me to leverage against my cash flow, I'll need to use about $1.25 million. I'll need to use about $1.5 million to leverage against about 33% of my cash flow, and I will be able to service the debt for probably two and over 2 years, just over 2 years. Even if I didn't make any more money, if I just used my equity to service the debt, if I used all $1.5 million, I will be able to service the debt for just over 2 years, even if I didn't make any more money. That's why I'm building the equity. All right. And my whole thing about using leveraged money is when I leverage money, I will be leveraging against my own cash flow. I will be leveraging against my cash flow. My cash flow is effectively a lagging indicator simply because when I reinvest money, when I invest capital, I put it into the front end of the herd. Okay. I don't go and buy giant animals. And so the cash flow is effectively always a lagging indicator. I will have enough money put away in terms of just liquid cash. I will have enough money put away to float the debt for over 2 years, even if I didn't make a single more dollar. And my whole thing about using leverage is when I use leverage, if the equity, like if I use leverage, right, and my equity dips into the negative, then I'll stop leveraging. All right, that's it's easy as that. Like I'm not even concerned about it, right? Like the whole thing is like I don't even worry about it simply because like my whole thing is like I'm not concerned about it because even if I had nothing, I know that I can redo everything by myself. And when it comes down to it, I make about $350,000 a year, and and I'm putting in maybe 5% effort, okay? And I can do all of it by myself. Even if I had nothing, I could redo it all by myself. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not concerned about it. Okay, I'm not worried about it. I'm not concerned about it. Even if I had nothing, I could just redo everything. So what does it matter? Okay, and with everything, it's just it's whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, and so the whole thing is and I effectively I already make plenty of money. And when I invest money, when I leverage against my balance sheet, and I use I leverage against my balance sheet, I'm looking to buy more assets. So chances are, if I go and I buy $1.5 million worth of land and cattle, chances are I'll just end up making more money. Okay, I'll actually increase. Let's say that I make $21,000 a month, and I take that $21,000 and I leverage against 7,000 of it, and let's say that I have $140,000 put away. So if I take a loan against if I take a loan for $7,000 a month, I can effectively get about $1.5 million. It'll be about $1.5 million. So if I take the $1.5 million, I'm making $21,000 a month. I leveraged against a third of it. That still leaves me with $14,000 a month left over, and I'm also just sitting on $140,000 liquid money, right? Just cash. Whenever I need it, I can just go and just get it. And so, I got 140,000 cash. I got $21,000 a month. I'm leveraged in terms of my income, in terms of the amount of money that I'm bringing home is 21 grand, and I leveraged against a third of that, which was 7 grand, which got me about $1.5 million. So I take the $1.5 million and I invest that money. Well, if I invest that money, chances are my income is going to go over 21,000. You see what I'm saying? Right? The 21,000 will become a lagging indicator. All right, if I go and I buy $1 million worth of land, and I buy another $250,000 worth of cattle, buy another $150,000 worth of cattle, chances are I'll end up making more than $21,000. And if I start making less than $21,000, I'll just stop leveraging. I'll just reinvest my own profits. All right. I still have $14,000 a month left over. I can invest that money into the herd. to grow the herd and to increase my earnings by just reinvesting my own capital, right? I can stop leveraging. All right, like all of this stuff, the stuff that I do, it's effectively to just completely negate the risk. Like I don't, I don't take any risk. There's no, I know I'm, I'm not gonna say I don't take. I take small amounts of risk all the time. There is no guarantee. Okay, I could get hit by a tornado tomorrow. But my whole thing is like, as long as I don't like start doing drugs, as long as I don't like go gambling, all right, as long as I don't develop some major spending problem, and chances are I'm just not going to. I'm not going to develop a, knock on wood, but chances are it's not going to happen. Okay, like even right now, I make a tremendous sum of money. I do very well for myself, and I haven't done anything except for put the money back into the business. And at the end of the day, I'm not interested in my whole thing is like I'm not interested in flexing on people, okay? Because my whole thing about it is like if I was driving around in a Phantom, all right, if I was driving around in a Phantom, it wouldn't. It's whatever, right? If I was driving around in a Lambo, it's like everywhere that I go, everyone would be like, "Oh my God, it's that guy in the Phantom, right? Oh, it's him in the Lambo, right?" And I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be in a situation where I can't even go somewhere, because people just swarm me. I don't want that to happen. All right, I actually like just being able to just blend in. I do enjoy just being able to go wherever the heck I feel like and not having to worry about anything. I like being able to just go places and not be concerned about it. I don't want people to swarm me. I don't want to be, oh my God, it's him. I don't want that. All right, I don't want that in my life. I feel like if that started happening, it would become very just it would just become very it'd become very difficult for me. There's no reason for that to happen. I don't want that to happen. Okay, and that's one of the big reasons why I don't like like going to get myself flashy stuff. I don't go around flexing on people because I don't whatever, right? I don't want to be in a situation where I can't even go anywhere without being just completely bombarded by people. I like being able to just blend in. All right, I like being able to go somewhere and have people have just. I don't want to be like, oh my God, it's him. It's the guy that's making 5 million, $10 million a year. It's him. Oh my God, there he is. I don't want that to happen. And very very I just don't want that to happen. Okay, and here very soon, in about 4 months, I will be growing the business. In about 5 months, I will be looking to start growing the business pretty drastically. I will be building the equity foundation, and I will be putting money away to insure my own business. I will be effectively just insuring. I will effectively just be guaranteeing that my business grows by about 50%, compounding every 7 months. And I will, effectively what's going to end up happening is I'll sell 10, I'll buy 15, and I'll have about $5,000 left over. And I'll buy everything else that I need, and I'll still have $5,000 left over. That's effectively what's going to happen. I'm effectively growing my business by 50%. I'm buying everything that I need, and I still have $5,000, $5,000 a month left over to just, provide insurance for myself. And I have zero shortage of money. There's, I'm not, I don't go out of my way to make money. I'm not, I don't do anything to make, in terms of like, I don't go out of my way to be like, oh my God, I need to make more money. I don't, I already have a massive excess of money. I'm not concerned about it. Realistically, here in about 4 or 5 months, even right now, if I just, even right now, if I leveraged against even 1/3 of my earnings, it's whatever. Okay, like even right now, if I took a loan for just 1/3 of my earnings, I mean, realistically, I mean, we'd be talking about somewhere between, 500,000 to $750,000, that I could go and use, and it's whatever. Here in about 3 or 4 months, it'll be about $1.5 million. All right, to for me to leverage against a third of my earnings, and if I leverage against a third of my earnings, chances are that I will be increasing my income. I will take that money and I will actually grow the amount of money that I make by taking the money and investing it. Okay, and so it's whatever to me. I already make a massive excess of money. I have zero shortage of money. All right, I do very well for myself, and it just is what it. I don't. I'm not. I don't go and I don't make money for the sake of making money. I don't do that. It's just it. Money to me is a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything to me. You know, money to me, when I take a look at it, what happens is that me, when I just go and do what I believe that, it is my moral obligation to do, I believe that, like my whole thing is like, if I have the capacity to burden the responsibility, then I should be burdening then I should take it upon myself to uphold the responsibility. I should take it upon myself to do so. It is my burden. It is my responsibility to shoulder the burden. That's how I see it, and it's just when I go and do what I do, I just end up making more money. Okay, that's what ends up happening. I will end up with more money simply because I will be farming more. I will be raising more cattle, and I will be looking to just push myself to just. And I'm not. But when it comes down to it, I don't make money for the sake of making money. I will just end up making more money simply because I will just be working more, and I am looking to utilize the capital to benefit humanity. Okay, as a whole, I am looking to benefit humanity. That's one of my big, objectives with what I do with the capital. All right, maybe, I very thoroughly, look into the fertilizer, right? How much fertilizer do I use? I'm looking to use the least amount of fertilizer to accumulate the most amount of biomass possible. What are some different things that I can do to minimize damage to the environment, to increase resource efficiency, and et cetera, et cetera. What are some things that I can do to show people how it's done, and et cetera, right? It's like this is how I do it. And at the end of the day, I actually managed to make it. I do very well for myself. I would reasonably anticipate that right now my net worth is just about at or just over $5 million, and it will probably go over $10 million here in very within maybe 4 months. And if you think about that, that means my net worth is going up by something like you know by over $5 million a year. Okay, my net worth is going up over $5 million a year. There's a very legitimate possibility that I end up with something like a 50 to $100 million net worth by the end of next year. It might happen. I don't know. But that's not the goal. All right. And whether I get there next year, or I get there in 3 years, or I get there in 5 years, it doesn't matter. I will be freaking rich the entire way. It doesn't matter. The money's no longer relevant. I've managed to get myself into a situation where I have good habits, and I am of decent character. All right, I'm not a saint, but I'm also not like a malicious person. I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm not looking to flex on people. I don't. I'm not looking to go and get myself 4 Lamborghinis and then just go around flexing on people. I'm not interested in that. Actually like blending in. I like being able to go places and not just being swarmed. I actually enjoy that. I run beef cattle, okay, and at the end of the day, God knows it. I'm not I'm not going to go out of my way to make money for the sake of making money. I'm not interested in it. I'm already rich, and I am effectively, even if I grow my business by 50% and don't use any debt, and I grow my business by 50% compounding about every 7 months, and I use zero debt, I will still have about $5,000 a month left over after I've paid for everything and grown my business by 50%. And if I legitimately needed more than 5 grand, I could just sell one or two of my cattle, right? I mean, so it's whatever. Okay, I make plenty of money. I don't worry about money anymore. I got myself into a situation where I have very good habits, and I'm of a decent character. I'm not a saint, but I'm also not selling my soul to the devil for money. I'm not doing ridiculous things. I'm not in. I fell out of heaven a seven in my life's a magical journey. I actually made it. All right, I actually do this in real life, and it just is what it is. All right, I make the money. And it just is what it is. If you want to know what it's like, then you go and do it. And when you figure out how hard it is, or when you figure out how much effort it's going to take, I would hope that you continue to push forward, and you don't sell your soul to the devil, and you take your head out of your rear end, and you stop being an idiot. all right, and you actually find a way to do well for yourself. I hope that every single last one of you make it. If you're legitimately looking to do well for yourself and you're looking to do something good for the world and you're looking to do well at it, I hope that you do. I hope you do well, and I hope that you do make it. Okay, if you're looking to do something horrible if you're looking to do something horrible, I mean, throw yourself off a bridge, right? That's don't go and do something horrible and throw a pissy fit and et cetera, et cetera. All right.